Hello, my name is Claudia Varna and I'm a research fellow in RUSI's Terrorism and Conflict team. As part of our far-right extremism and terrorism research program, my colleague Dr. Jessica White and I recently published a paper mapping the far-right threat and response in 3 different case study locations outside of the areas that are typically associated with the far-right. We specifically looked at the Western Balkans, Turkey, and South Africa, and for each of these case studies, we try to determine the dominant ideological influences and drivers of far-right extremism, and we also tried to identify how these local concerns are connected to the transnational far-right landscape. We found that in the Western Balkans, far-right narratives are mainly based on ethno-nationalism, with regional and global connections that center around linguistic, ethnic, and religious ties. Relevant to the current war in Ukraine, the paper discusses links between Russia and far-right groups and narratives in the Western Balkans, including the issue of foreign fighters from the region joining the conflict that has been going on in Ukraine since 2014 on the Russian side. In South Africa, the predominant far-right narratives are ideologically based on white supremacy and the separation of races, which is obviously rooted in historical apartheid policies. Compared to the previous 2 case studies, far-right extremism really isn't part of the political mainstream in South Africa, but it is strongly linked to the international far-right environment, specifically in the United States.
As Claudia mentions, there are many differences between the local historical contexts and dominant ideological drivers in these case studies. However, there were some definite themes that emerged across them, including the role of gender. Misogynist and anti-feminist sentiments were mentioned in each of the local contexts as a common driver of hate crime, as well as other unifying themes such as anti-immigrant sentiments. The challenge of where hate crime meets counterterrorism becomes especially tricky in the context of the far right, as this umbrella term often captures multiple perspectives and ideologies which feed public sentiment on highly politicized issues. In a context that has edged the mainstream to the extreme during the global pandemic and with the intensifying polarization of society. Certainly, more evidence needs to be gathered on different contexts of far-right extremism, as we are seeking to do with our far-right extremism and terrorism program at RUSI.